Keep it Pyro.
Alright, it's PyroRadio.com. Special guest Mrisi in the building.
Yo.
What's good, brother?
Good,
thanks. How are you?
Yo, that tune is actually really dope, man.
Nah, nice one, man. I've got a big up Moecha on there as well.
Yeah, man.
Sylvia Mwenza and Scarlett Fletcher.
So you're doing your thing, singing and all of that.
Man.
How long you been doing that for?
Like 2 years.
2
a
years.
year
Okay.
properly now.
Yeah.
But I've always tried to be melodic with what I do.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
this is like where I had to put my foot down and say, no, I'm going to do this. I'm a singer. Because I always sung.
Is that you on the piano?
Yeah.
All the way through, yeah.
Wow.
All the way through.
So I'm saying, it's a problem.
So you was always singing before, like you could always sing, technically.
Don't know about could sing, but I've always been singing since I'm a kid. I was raised on melody and that.
Yeah.
And
So have you done any actual training or?
yeah, at the moment, I'm training with a woman called Cece, who's a really good vocal trainer.
Sick.
Yeah, and she's just good.
Cece sounds like she's a good vocal trainer. That's the name, isn't it?
Nah, she's serious, man. So
Yeah. I need one myself, man. I'm looking. That
Cece?
caught me now. Yeah.
Holla, Cece, man. Nice.
Just to get straight into the debate, you've heard a bit about what we've been talking about. So we don't actually have a question this time. Can you make it into a question in 2 seconds?
No. That was a good question you just asked me. So do you think Bruno Mars is culturally appropriate?
Short answer, no, not Bruno Mars. My thing with cultural appropriation, it's a hard concept to grasp.
Yeah.
It's like how long is a piece of string? Do you know what I mean? Because if you're mocking a culture, that's not good. You know what I mean? If you're like, it always irks me. I hate it when I see people dressed up as like. It's not so much now with African tribe people because that people know that that's an offensive thing to do. Do you know what I mean? But when you see people dressed up as Saudi guys, or where you see people dressed up as Native Americans, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and that people, or even just using accessories to as a fashion statement.
You say bindis, yeah?
Bindis, things like, but even then, like a bindi for me, it's like, unless it's a religious statement in a lot of ways. A bindi is to represent for a lot of women, whether they're married or unmarried. So now if you're walking around with a bindi and you have no idea what you're representing through that.
Yeah.
It was almost similar like the Palestine scarves for a while, because that represents revolution.
Yeah.
And so you had that, and those scarves were a big popular thing. They're selling them in H&M and all these kind of places and mainstream stores.
Bun H&M while we're at.
Yeah, Bun H&M. Straight.
Yeah. Did you hear about Stella McCartney?
No.
I forgot to bring it up before.
That's been mentioned, but I haven't.
Yeah, so she's brought out a whole range of African print clothing.
Oh wow.
In like Harrods and that, and it's like 2,000 a dress, 1,000 a top.
But there's your cultural appropriation, because not one penny of that is going to Africa.
That's what people are asking. They're
of
like,
course, it's not
what you just took? You just took the thing and just threw it in there for $2,000. Yeah.
Especially when it comes to selling in terms of sales, because you'll have a lot of these guys now where you got the woke scene and everything.
Yeah.
You got people going to whatever country, taking stuff that has spiritual significance in their cultures and their religions and selling it for triple the price here.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And this isn't just items of things like, or your incense or your crystals or whatever. This is also the ideology that they're taking. You're taking little parts from things and you're rebranding it and you're selling it. You're putting stickers on it. You're putting a barcode on it.
Or a home museum.
Yeah, or a whole museum. Or if we're looking at history,
this is the British Museum.
Yeah, the British Museum. Yeah, that is really, the British Museum is a huge example of cultural appropriation. It's insane. It's actually split into sections. When you go, it's like, oh yeah, this floor is China, this floor, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Greeks, Romans,
the V&As, all of these places.
Yeah.
But even if you look at the culture, I mean, British culture is that of cultural appropriation. Even, you could argue that dance music, because dance music comes from
some black person
culture.
somewhere.
Yeah,
it comes from Jamaicans bringing dub to England with the big sound system
culture.
So then that whole culture of English youths, and this is a very English thing. If you go all over, and it was exported to Europe and places, but if the core of English music, this is why grime's so strong. It's a do do do. It's do 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 do. It's a, you know what I mean? So that
dance music.
Yeah. And we're in tune with it from,
and we're in
from
tune
way
with
back.
it from. But then, and this is another argument, is then which leads you on to say, when does a cultural fuse become? When does that go out of cultural appropriation? Because this is
that's what I'm saying. Because like then you got like groups. We had like what's it? Is it the Specials? Yeah, we had a bunch of groups of black guys and white guys that was just here, just mixing up their musics together, and
that was a complete fuse. And then even if you look at now how people talk, everyone is the same slang. Do you know what I mean? And that's not something to do with. That's British culture.
Is Drake appropriating British culture?
That's British. That's British city culture.
No. It's city culture.
So let me ask you, So you're a rapper / singer. Yeah. Snapper. That's a good name for it. Anyway, these times here, are you fearful as a black singer coming into the game that you might not be heard because your music's been appropriated?
But in what sense?
Like, so you coming out with like a song, you're playing the piano, you're singing. There's not a lot of black guys out there doing that right now. Are you scared that it's not going to be accepted because you're black?
No, because.
Or they might give that space to a white guy doing the same thing. Might be more likely to.
But that's
It's a hard question.
No, it's a hard question, but I don't think because I have my own idea of where the influence of my music came from. So my piano is a tool, and my singing and doing piano is a tool. So therefore, I don't feel Do you mean? Do I feel like I'm appropriating culture, or am I afraid of people coming?
Do you fear appropriation stopping you from having success?
No, because
like other people appropriating music.
No, because as a black youth, I've always grown up to know that I have to do triple, quadruple times as much anyway. So I'm already aware of that.
Okay.
You know, I take that into consideration while moving through life in general. If I go to a job interview, I turn up there 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
You know, all of these things that I have to take into
consideration. You use your white voice.
You know? But I don't. So I think of things.
I got to learn one of those, man.
Man. They're mad useful. Trust me, I'll be telling white guys on the estate, fam, don't talk like that at the interview.
It's true. But this is what I mean. So I'm not. Yeah, that doesn't bother me. But in terms of,
you said something interesting of before we came back on, saying that if your kids made music, you wouldn't.
Yeah. If I
like when we was talking about the Bruno Mars thing, because he's like mixed race.
Yeah. No, if I had kids like with a white woman, or any woman from outside of black culture for that matter, and my children were accused of cultural appropriating, I would tell them all to shut up. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that. It's a hard one, man. I grew up in Brighton, so I've seen black people from a generation where British culture is so mixed up. And again, it's not. Is it appropriation if they grow up in that culture? But being so associated with white culture, and that adds an element of self-hatred also. White British culture. So it's like, I've seen how anybody can be affected by where they are, but also what is in yourself will always remain that. So those black kids who grew up in these certain cultures were still seen as black kids. Does that make sense?
You mean like black kids that weren't necessarily from like an environment where there's only black people?
Yeah,
there's still black kids when it came.
There's still black kids when it comes down to it. You know, and that is something for me that I wouldn't want to take away from my kids as well. Do you know what I mean? Even myself, my mum's white, but yeah, I'm still black. That's how I see myself. You see what I'm saying? And for me, no one can tell me any different. And that's, I think, is also a personal thing about cultural appropriation, is that if you really are, it's about respect, but if you're really a part of that culture, you have nothing to worry about. Because you're not appropriating nothing if you know what you are. And you are. I feel like that's man. You know, that's
Anyway, music. What's dropping? What's popping?
music it's all over the place at the moment. There's a few things. I've got my own stuff coming, so obviously I just released my Miller, which thank you guys for supporting.
Yeah. Cool, man.
And then me and Hatter, you know Hatter.
Of course, man.
Me and him together, a Barcode. We're bringing Barcode back, so that there's another tune there called Buddha Bang that's been doing this little round.
Okay,
we're gonna be
get that up, man.
Okay. I've been releasing music with Yasmin Hendricks, who was featured on my EP, Mine and Morch's EP, My Miller. So I've got a whole project with her. She's a singer, like kind of folky.
I see a video with you and her singing with doing like the backing vocals. She was hard still.
She's hard.
That's what I realized. My man plays piano proper, you know.
Sick, man.
Man ain't just doing it like producers do, like 3 chords and stuff. Yeah, stop.
Talk about Brighton, I guess. I was gonna say when you mentioned that.
Because you man are both from Brighton. I was gonna say.
I'm not from Brighton, but I'm down with Brighton
Nova's Brighton.
I'm Brighton, yeah.
Bully on the beach.
Do you know what though? I just
Bully on the stone beach.
No. I just don't feel that. I haven't been to Brighton in so long. I haven't,
You can't claim it
I haven't
now.
been respectful enough to come and just,
That would be cultural appropriation if you start claiming Brighton.
Nova wasn't Brighton long enough to be Brighton, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
He's as Brighton as the Seagulls.
Yeah. It's probably the only place out of London I lived in for a long period of time, and I really loved that city at that time. I needed to get out of London, and I was just like, where do I go? And it was like I'd been up and down the country touring, doing different shows, and Brighton was just that place where I thought, right, this is a creative space. There's loads of music and hip hop and others, and people are just cool.
There's a bag of artists out of Brighton, for real.
Do you think that's like how much influence did that have on you becoming an artist and being a creative?
A lot, because the city Brighton attracted my mum and dad, who are both creatives. My dad's a musician, he's a percussionist.
Okay.
He came Amampondo,
yeah.
All right.
And then my mum was a poet. She moved down to Brighton for the same reason, because of the artistry. Like back in the day, when I was little, it was different. It was like Hastings or something. So it was a very artsy town. It was a place where people were attracted to because of art and stuff. So yeah, in that respect. But even just growing up, because I was personally always around music, but it was easy to get involved in it. I went to Audio Active, which was one of the first places at the youth centre.
Okay.
And this was a time when there was a lot of money as well being put into youth music in Brighton. So, but even just the scene, the moment that I was involved in Audio Active, at the time we had good people like Hines, obviously.
Yeah, man, shout out Hines all the time, man, all day.
But also you lot, do you know what I mean? Like you yourself, we made a track called Industry Takeover back in the day.
Yeah.
TT and
still
Supernova.
It's about. I found that in the email somewhere, and I was like, wow, yeah. Sick.
So that tune, like even that was good to have guys like yourself and other people to kind of.
I would just, I think just to tell my story, when I came along, I think it was that Rare Kind. They used to do their open mics and stuff. And I just came along, and there was just this whole gang of these young guys rapping. Was you one of the younger ones at that time, or?
I was like the average age.
Okay.
There was a guy who was like 2-3 years older than us, and then another guy, Isa's little brother, Els, who was. He must have been 11. At that time.
I said 11.
Either way, there was a gang of them.
I was about to say 16.
There was a gang of them. Some of them mad young, some a bit older, and they was just barring. Like there was just mad passion, and I just came and started chatting to them all like, "Yo, you lot are doing your thing," and they was like, "Oh, come studio," and then we went recorded it with Aston, and
we're doing a Fat Joe in Brighton.
Let me show love, like these are doing their thing.
That's dope.
And a lot of people came out of that are doing their thing. Eyes was up here recently. I want to try to get him up on our show as well, but he's putting out a lot of music, killing it. You know what I'm saying?
We've actually, me and Sam have got a tune of him coming out.
Sick.
Soon.
And then Rizzle Kicks, obviously.
You couldn't even. We would spend the whole show listing off artists from Brighton right now.
But just from that movement, I'm saying like because
that era,
they're all from your batch of 11-year-olds.
One of the other guy from Rizzle Kicks is on that song, I think, as well.
Okay.
Yeah, not Rizzle. And then Harley's on I think he's on the song. And then for years, Rizzle would come up to me outside every club and be like, you've done a song with all my man, then, but I'm not on it. Like, you're not doing a song with man. You know what I'm saying? Like, he used to hop me up, and I never did it. But
I got a bit like that, man. A tenacious youth.
No, he was on it.
I got the most important question. What has been more important to your musical journey, being a Brightonian or being a South African?
Oof. Oof.
Don't say the wrong thing, Booty.
Hey, when? Nah, you know what?
That's an unfair question. How's being South African been influenced though? Because you said your dad's a musician.
My dad's a musician, so if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't want to be a musician.
Oh, okay.
So I guess it's South Africa, but at the same time, Brighton and being from Brighton and my life in Brighton has shaped me as a musician, as a person, everything. But musically, yeah, like everything that I can draw musically from would be South African or reggae, or you know, pretty much a kind of balance of those two things, like African music and reggae music. But even this is an interesting thing about cultural appropriation, is that one of my main points was that, especially within the black diaspora, how cultural appropriation, like South African cultural appropriation of Jamaican culture, was a huge benefit to South African culture. You know what I mean?
Lucky Dube.
But just how it is out there. Like my uncle is a Rasta man.
There's whole ends in Soweto where the whole ends would be Rasta,
and that's where my dad landed. So there's one area in Deep Kloof where my dad went when he was young, and that whole area, they were all Rastas growing up. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. When I go back, my uncle and them, a lot of them are Rastas, and that culture helped the struggle a lot in terms of the music they were listening to, but also in terms of the mind state, and especially under apartheid. So that kind of cultural appropriation then
is useful.
Is completely useful because it serves a political purpose.
That's real
in
talk.
that sense, it served and it's like, even when you look at people from Papua New Guinea, again associating with Rastafari and Jamaican culture, like that's giving them a certain purpose. And even though, and this is another thing, like they look like black people, it's not like they look like, but they are black people. But they're geographically in a completely different place.
Yeah.
So therefore, where do they associate themselves with? If their whole culture has been thing.
You ever seen that Coconut Revolution documentary?
Yeah.
Bro, that's my favorite documentary of all time.
These guys won a war with literally just their own, like, you know, one of the things of war, you take, you know, when you kill a soldier, you take their weapon.
Guerrilla warfare tactics.
But these guys
made the
homemade coconut weapons.
Like they made their gun. It's like it's got a knife on the end of a stick. These man.
And they ended up getting enough real weapons, enough guns,
took
enough
over the whole island.
Wow.
But then I don't know what happened after that. Maybe
it has a happy ending. No.
It does.
Say it again.
They killed everybody.
What?
No.
Wait. We have to say that. We have to keep to the mic. Keep to the mic. Say it.
At the end of the documentary, there's writing that comes up saying that those people have been wiped out.
Right, not the one I watched. I need to watch it again. They updated the documentary with the side ending. Nah, it's not my favorite no more. It was only my favorite because I thought they just lived. I thought they're still riding now with their coconut cars. Thanks, bro. You just messed up my whole night.
Big up Abel there in the corner.
I was gonna go home, beat something. I'm not even doing that no more. I'm gonna sleep. I'm
gonna watch the documentary and find out, and then next week I'll reveal.
The white man can't tell me nothing right now. I'm angry. Listen.
This is what I mean. Peter Tosh probably fueled their revolution. Do you know what I mean? The music that they were listening to, and you know, even in flipping, a lot of places, man. Especially that kind of Australasian area. Those people associate a lot with black culture. Fiji, you know what I mean?
Right, even across Africa, Nigeria. When we got the right to vote in Ghana, Nigeria, even like anti-apartheid movement, it was all influenced by like Panthers, Marcus Garvey, like what was going on in America and what was going on in Jamaica. So
it's parallels, isn't it?
See, man.
Yeah, it's cultural appropriation in good ways. See, man found some positive cultural appropriation.
Keep it pyro.